Hey everybody, again to the Global Star Party. Forget which episode it is, I think it's 40 something or other. We are broadcasting from Australia and New Zealand. This is the Southern Hemisphere show, so we like to change it up between the Western and Eastern Hemispheres. It's a bit confusing really. I think we should probably change it to just the Australia show and the USA show. And New Zealand's just sort of, it's really Australia anyway. It's all down here. We are probably going to be talking a lot about Jupiter tonight. In fact, this is probably, I should probably just call this the Jupiter special when I go to rename the YouTube video, because there's lots to talk about with Jupiter, especially the recent asteroid collision that was captured by a bunch of amateurs, such as ourselves, and we have a heap of live views of Jupiter. It's great weather, at least it is great weather here, and we've got view from New Zealand and Melbourne and Adelaide as well. Adelaide. So we're covering a lot of ground here with the live views. We're also going to talk about, we've been asked, I put a request out just to see what people wanted to talk about, and we were asked about connecting cameras to telescopes and how you go about that. It's a bit of a beginning question, but I think that's a good one, and it's a good place to start really if you're getting into astrophotography, how to actually connect the camera to your telescope. Another question we got asked about in the Google Plus comments was to talk about planet Nibiru and the fact that we live on a flat Earth and that the moon is a projection, and it's all a big conspiracy, and we're not actually amateur photographers at all. We're actually all working for NASA to continue this global conspiracy to fool everyone into believing that we live on a round Earth with stuff going around it, or us going around the sun. And what else do we have tonight? We'll hopefully share some of our recent astrophotography that we've got. I'll be sharing some information about my new Skyshed Pod Observatory as well. I'm a little bit frazzled tonight, so I do apologise. We've had really, really good weather for 3 or 4 nights in a row, and that means I've been up every night, and I don't get any reprieve because at 6:30 in the morning my boy comes and jumps on my head, and so I'm really just running on fumes right now. So I apologise for all the slip-ups and the slurs and the mistakes and all that. So with us tonight we have Andrew from Adelaide. G'day, Andrew.
G'day, Dylan, and everyone else. And, I'm shooting from South Australia, Adelaide to be exact, and see my telescope in the background there, and I'm following Jupiter at the moment.
Yep, as we all the Jupiter special. Thanks for joining us, Andrew. We also have Paul from New Zealand. How you going, Paul?
Afternoon or evening or early morning, as it should be here.
Yes, yes, you're burning the midnight oil, I'm sure. Thanks for joining us again, Paul. You're our resident telescope ninja. And we're also joined by Peter Lakes from Melbourne. How you doing, Peter?
Yeah, hey guys, how you going? Can you hear me okay?
Yep, hearing you great. Got
I just had to reacquire my tone because it's sort of lost it. But yes, we're going okay here. So yeah, thanks. Yes, I'm based in Melbourne and joining you tonight. So I had a few hairy moments there where some clouds came through and clouded out, but it's just gone beautiful and clear. I think the seeing's actually better now than it was before as well. So I've got Jupiter here for you. It's kind of I might need to back off the brightness a bit there, but I'll come back to you in a little while.
No worries. Now, Peter, I don't know. Have we met or have you been on the show before? Or is this your first time?
I think I think I showed up on the show one day when I thought it was the Australian end, but well, obviously it was broad daylight, so I think I did the Western one a couple of about a month or so ago. But I don't think I've been on with you before now.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate new faces and new voices. It's really, really good, and you've got a fantastic view there.
Just a little bit. I've got a 14-inch Skywatcher Smart Dobsonian with a Barlow and an iPhone going into a 25mm eyepiece on one of those adapters where they've got the little sticky suction caps that the iPhone on the back of it sticks to it quite nicely. And then I'm using an app called 645, I think it's called, which turns your iPhone into a DSLR and gets to the image train before it starts getting compressed, and then I'm sharing that via reflection into the Hangout. So
excellent.
Well,
there. That's a really unconventional way to give us a live.
Well, I thought I'd try something a bit different, and yeah. So I think it's a bit bright, so I'm just gonna go and just back off the advantage of this is, as you can see, I can set it to ISO 200 at 1/400th of a second, but I think if I knock that up a little bit and back it out, it'll just take a bit of that brightness and you'll be able to see a bit more detail, but you can see one of the moons there at the moment, so that's good.
Yeah, I can see that. Now, do you need to run over to the
I've got the scope sort of about 2 or 3 meters away, so I'll just step across to it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to babble on for a bit, so please do that. So I just wanted to say that we did get that question about connecting cameras to telescopes, and this is a really good example of one way to do it. When you hold your iPhone up to the eyepiece of your telescope, that's the most basic method of connecting your camera to the telescope. It's called digiscoping. You can do it with binoculars, just holding the smartphone straight up to your binoculars, or even a point-and-shoot camera. It's a really basic way of doing it, but it's hugely popular, and it's growing in popularity because of these types of programs that give you this control, as Peter is showing us here. Now, Peter, are you back now?
Yeah, I'm back. You can see a bit more detail there now.
Cool. I was just going to say, could you give us a bit of information about the iPhone attachment or the sticky thing you were saying that you've got? How is it actually being held up to the?
I could in a little while I'll pull out the attachment, but there's the Australian Geographic has a thing called an iPhone or a smartphone adapter, and it's just I've actually got one here which I'll grab next time I can go for a run to my office, and I'll show it to you on the camera. But it's just kind of like an oval shaped plate with some suction caps on the back that sticks nicely, and then it holds on to an eyepiece. So you put the eyepiece, 25mm eyepiece in, and make sure it's nicely aligned, and just slip it in, and it works really well. I've even used, and this might scare you, I even used a star analyzer on it, and recently pulled off, if I can share with you for a second, just let me, I'll I pulled off a spectra with it
I
of the
saw that.
of
I saw
Io's
that pop
moon.
up on Google Plus. That's amazing.
That's not the one. Yeah, and it was, I staggered me. So let me sharing. I got shared the wrong one here. Hang on. Or did I? Maybe I didn't. This one. Yes, that one. So you can see here. I've lost the Hangout here. Where did it go? Oh yeah, yeah, and you can see the actual. The bottom one is the traditional Carlston, I think, reference spectra for Io, and you can actually see certainly the two dark green lines in up towards the end, and you can see a couple of the other lines up here in the wavelength. So I was actually staggered that you could actually get it scared me, and I think, oh, I'm going to have to go away and do a bit more of this now because it's pretty amazing. So,
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
so yeah, I'm basically just playing around at the moment, but it's a very useful little tool, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So
yeah, great. For people who don't know, spectra is when you take the white light coming from a star and you use, I guess, like a prism essentially, to split it off and then analyze that, and that gives you some information about the chemical composition of the star based on the lines that we see in the spectra. It looks like a rainbow with lines, or that graph with spikes and things like that. And that gives us a whole heap of information about the chemical composition of the star, which is how we learnt a lot about the early universe. But that was the province of higher science for a lot of years, and now, as Peter just demonstrated, that is something that we can do at home, which is brilliant. And just while I'm at it, this is one that Orion makes, a camera adapter for your iPhone or smartphone. It'll fit any smartphone. I bought it way back in the day when I saw the first virtual star party, and I thought, I really want to do this, and I thought it would be great to use the iPhone in that way to share live views, and I bought one, and I've never ever used it. So if anyone wants to buy it off me, just let me know, because I quickly got normal cameras and things like that. I'm just going to quickly jump into my live view because we're all sharing Jupiter tonight, the Jupiter special, and I'm pretty sure everyone else's views will embarrass mine. So here's mine. It's running live from the observatory, which is just a few meters behind the wall behind me, and it's going through a 2.5 PowerMate. Oops, what's going on here? Looks like it just dropped out just as I went live there. Let's get this back.
there you go. I've just popped us the image up of the adapter and the iPhone and the star analyzer, so I can have a quick look at that.
Oh, excellent.
So that's basically what I'm running. Except mine hasn't got the star analyzer in it, obviously. So I'll flick back to you. Yes.
Yep. And of course I've lost my view completely. It was there, and then the camera disconnected, and it looks like there was a jump in the guiding there, which means we might have had a wind gust or a cloud or something. I don't know. That's all right. Maybe while I'm here, I can show you.
You might put a just there you go. Yeah, you're up. That's fine. You're back.
Yep. I'm going to jump straight over to Andrew because his view is up and he's got a clear shot at the minute, which is great. Andrew, if you're there, can you give us a bit of detail about how you're capturing this image?
Yeah. Well, this has been taken through an 8-inch f4 Newtonian telescope. I'm using fire capture to capture the images from a ASI 120 which is the monochrome version.
And well-regarded camera.
Yeah, and this is through a 2x Barlow with quite a large extension tube to actually magnify the image a little bit more. Effectively, it would be about a 5x Barlow now, the way it's set up.
That's incredible. You're actually getting quite a lot of detail for an 8-inch scope, and you stacked this earlier as well, didn't you?
Yes, I stacked it, and I've got an image there. I'm not too sure if you can see that one or not.
Not yet.
Okay, it's on the Flickr group anyway. No, that's not working.
No, that's all right. I'll bring it up in just a little bit because I've got a stacked one of mine as well. But I'll just quickly jump back to mine because I've just got it back. All right, so this is through a 9 1/4 Celestron SCT Edge HD, and I am so confusing, all these windows. when I'm trying to host and I've got all the windows running, it just gets a bit confusing. But I can see a couple of moons there, and I could zoom in, but I won't zoom in for the moment. I've got a 2.5 power mate on this, and I'm not really impressed with it, to be honest. And I wanted to pick your brains, Andrew, because you're getting really good results by adding the magnification. But I find when I remove the power mate, Teleview, Barlow, it's all the same thing, and just image it at a lower magnification, I'm getting better detail anyway. And I wonder if it's because there's not as much glass that it has to go through or whatever. Just seems so much softer when I add in that extra magnification, and even when I stack it, I can't recover that detail. Do you know? Are there any tricks to using Barlows, or any tips that you might have?
Yeah, it depends a lot on the setting as well. It's got a really turbulent atmosphere. You're not going to get the detail there, but yeah, using a Barlow, which is like a power mate, slightly different optical elements and all that, but yeah, it depends a lot on how you're capturing it, or how many frames, how much gain you're using, exposure time, and that sort of thing. So,
yeah, because I just did the test tonight where I did them back to back, so it's the same scene. All I did was did one with the power mate and one without, and yeah, it just seems like I get more detail when I don't use it, which is counterintuitive to me. So I don't know.
Well, it would look a lot clearer when it's smaller as well. So.
Okay. All right. I am going to actually before I finish my takeover of the of the channel, let me just share with you the observatory view itself, because I do have my observatory running. I love saying that because I've had it for a week. I've only been permanent for a week, and it's the best thing ever. I'm loving it. And I can give you a view of the webcam in there now. There we go. You guys can see that okay?
Yep, not a problem.
Cool. So this is the Sky Shed pod. This is how I'm bringing you the live view. There's my EQ6 and my Celestron Edge HD. There's the 174mm hanging off the back there. There's the filter wheel and the power mate in there, and straight into the wedge. And this thing is just the guide cam. It's actually really nice to guide on a planet. especially when you've got a manual filter wheel like mine, and I bump the scope around, and it just realigns itself and comes back, and it's really, really handy. And give you a look around the observatory. This is the dome, the Sky Shed pod. There's the foam on the other end. It's quite a nice big dome. I've been able to keep everything fully extended. I didn't have to shorten the tripod legs at all. There's the street light I turn off with a laser beam. It's the most annoying thing in the world. And this camera's not sensitive enough to pick up the stars, but there is Jupiter over my house. So it's nice to be able to show you the behind the scenes as well as the live view too. And with that, I'm going to pass over to Paul, who is showing us. He was showing us the Leo triplet. Yeah, Paul, what's going on?
Yes, it's a Leo triplet. Semi live. It's taken just before the show started.
Great, fantastic. And you just did just a couple like single RGBs, or how do you do it so quick?
Yeah, Maxim DL's got this lovely feature called Auto Tricolour, which automatically combines and merges everything together on the fly.
That's fantastic. I'm looking to switch programs. I've been doing it all, quite manually in the backyard for so long, but now that I'm set up, I'm thinking about Sequence Generator Pro. But that Maxim DL feature does sound nice. Do you have a live view of Jupiter as well at the moment, Paul?
How about that?
Hey, look at that. Now, I'm wondering, Peter, can you get your live view up too?
Yep.
Because we will have 4 live views of Jupiter all at the same time.
Oops. My
All right. So, Paul, you've got the nice wide field version here where we can see all the moons at once. And what are you shooting this with?
That's with the QSI 583 at its lowest setting.
Huh. Very nice, and you've turned the exposure right up, obviously, so we can see the moons.
There you go. Should I have that now?
I'm seeing a message on your screen.
Yeah, I've just.
There we go. Look at this. I'm going to flick through all of this, and I'm just going to keep flicking through so we can see Jupiter from 4 very different parts of Australia and New Zealand, which is great. I don't think we've ever done this on the show before. How cool is that? I feel like some kind of omnipotent telescope operator flicking between 4 different views of the same planet from another planet on various different locations. That is great.
Yeah, we just only just missed the Great Red Spot. I've got a. I might just share the image I took about an hour or so before we came on air.
Perfect.
Or 2 hours, maybe. Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll get mine ready too, because I did a stack just before, and it sounds like you got the Great Red Spot, I got the Great Red Spot, and Andrew got the Great Red Spot as well just before we came live.
Because I was getting set up and going, oh, we should start now because we had the kind of just went. You can just see it there in the bottom right. Which I should zoom in a little bit for you, perhaps on that one. Let me just see.
Oh yeah, yep. And you're shooting in colour too, which is great. Andrew and I didn't have time to process the colour, but because you're doing this, this is off the iPhone.
I was at NACA which is the National Australian Convention of Amateur Astronomers, on the Easter weekend, and I was Anthony Wesley was presenting during one of the sessions, and he said it's a little bit early to tell yet, but the thinking is that perhaps the Great Red Spot has finished its 10-year shrinking sort of phase that it went through, and that it might be almost about to start growing in size again. But the jury's still out, but some of them, they said by July they should be able to tell us.
That is fascinating,
Yeah,
because
so
that
I
has
thought
been
it
a
was
long decline for the Great Red Spot. Huh.
And there's a very dedicated team of people who've been tracking it and following it over time and working with some of the planetary folks. I know Dr. Padma Yanamandra Fisher, who's in Australia at the moment, working with Anthony. She works a lot on planetary science, and she's been following this with great interest for some time. So.
Thank you very much for that, Peter, and the information. I'm going to flick over to Andrew's view earlier. This is a stack of the same view that Peter had just before, because we were all set up before getting ready for the show, and we were all taking in some videos and stacking them by the sounds of it. So we all got the same thing from our different locations, which is great. And yeah, the Great Red Spot has just gone around the horizon, so it's not in our live views. But there it is from Andrew. Really nice stack, especially considering the fairly modest equipment he's got set up at the minute. You can see the wake of the Great Red Spot, all the turbulence coming out from behind it, and the other bands quite clearly as well, and even the sub bands, which are the thin strips in between the main bands. I don't know all the names off by heart, but there's a hell of a lot of detail in that stack, way more than I ended up with. Have you got anything else to add about this particular stack, Andrew?
Probably not. Probably just it was taken about 5,000 frames, I think. I can't remember. I took a couple of them at different exposures, so I'm not 100% sure what this one was. But I just put it through Auto Stack It, which is a stacking program for images and etc. And then
Got some great detail there.
Yeah, and then put it through Registax to just sharpen it up a little bit, and the result is there. Of course, it's a monochrome image, so there's no color data there at all.
Mm-hmm. Hey, when you get the image out of AutoStack It, I end up with the two files because I get the convoluted and the unconvoluted one, unsharpened one. And are you taking the unsharpened one into Registax, or are you taking the sharpened one and then adding a bit more sharpening?
No, I'm using the unsharpened one. If you try and do the convoluted one, it becomes out really disgusting. So.
Yep, good tip. And you're using wavelets in Registax?
Yes, not much. I try not to push it too much. Depending on the seeing. If it's really good seeing, you don't need to push it too much. But tonight it was a little bit jumpy, so yeah, I pushed it a little bit.
I think that's quite good because a lot of Jupiter stacks you see are really overblown, and they've really sharpened it up so much it's quite ridiculous. Those features don't look like that at all. But yeah, if you're subtle like this, then you definitely get a much more honest representation of what's going on the planet right now, which is good. So I'll share mine, which is not, I didn't go the extra step through Registax, or I'd probably do it in PixInsight now. But I just use this is just the straight sharpen out of AutoStack It, and this is without the Barlow, without the Power Mate. So this is just a straight native focal length of the scope. And I think it came across all right. I've got the wake. I've got some nice detail within the wake where you can see those loops on the storm, and the bands and the sub bands. But I've got to go back and and do it in color, get the RGB, and process this properly and do the sharpening properly at the end, because it's a bit smudgy. You can see the harshness, the artifacts around the edges here. So this needs a bit of a cleanup. But I'm not good at this planetary stuff. I'm a nebula guy, but I'm trying to I'm trying to learn a bit more about the planetary, especially now that I've got it all hooked up tonight. I'll probably keep it hooked up that way for a while and sort out my issues with the with the magnification and get into it. You're trying to get into it a bit more, aren't you, Andrew?
Yeah, that's right. Just trying to try and get better at it. And I'm going to be changing my equipment soon. I'm going to try and get a 12-inch telescope and a little bit better camera. Probably go color. Yeah, just develop it a little bit more.
Yeah. And also, just after this show, the Jupiter special, there's a double shadow transit happening. So all of us are set up, ready. So we'll be keeping our stuff trained on Jupiter. I won't be flicking around tonight at all, and I'll be going back outside and trying to catch some images of this double shadow transit. So if you follow any of us on Google+, you'll hopefully see some good results later on. Now I'm going to flick back to resident telescope ninja Paul. What are we looking at, Paul?
This is Omega Centauri, the only real globular cluster in the sky.
Yeah, feel the burn, Northern Hemisphere. That's great. And is this nearly live, like recent as well?
It's about 10 minutes old.
Nice. Obviously a lot older than that, but fresh off the telescope. And the thing with globs that I find fascinating is that they're mostly old stars. So they're all these reddy, whitey, orangey ones. But you do see a few of these little blue ones around the edges, and they're the younger ones. And I don't really know how globs work, and nobody I talk to can explain them for me, because they're not like galaxies. Galaxies have an orbital gravitational pull that pull everything around, but globs just sort of hang there with all these old stars. So I don't get it. I don't get how they formed. I don't get what they're doing or what. But yeah, it's a weird one. If anyone knows, please let us know. And yeah, I actually haven't checked the Q&A. I should always mention it. You can ask questions during the show. But there are no questions at the minute. But thanks for those viewers who are watching, and everyone else who's watching the replay. All right. While we're here, we did have a request about the conspiracy theory stuff. So I'll give you my opinion, and then I'll throw it to the room, and the other guys can see what they think. But I think that if I spend any time on this show trying to explain or refute any of the ridiculous stuff you've told me, it'll be a waste of my breath, because you don't care. I think a lot of people just do this to be purposely contrarian and big up themselves because they're railing against the status quo of normal scientific literacy. So really, you don't care what I'm going to say. So I'm just going to say you guys are idiots, and every time you comment on my stuff, I'm just going to keep blocking you, and because I don't really care. Yeah, and I don't work for NASA, and I wish I did, because I'd have a lot more money and a lot better equipment. But yeah, what do you reckon, Andrew? What's your take?
I try not to listen to these people. I know a couple of people that believe in the flat Earth theory and chemtrails and all that sort of thing. And if they want to believe all that rubbish, then they can go off and believe it. I'm not going to dive into everything here, because it would take too long. But no, I just don't listen to them.
Yeah. Any opinions, Paul?
Yeah, just move on.
Yeah. They are very they're very passionate as well, though. Like sometimes the people that comment, I go and look at their channel, and it's just filled with like bad Photoshop jobs and arrows pointing to dodgy artifacts, and look at this stuff we found on Mars, and it's just terrible. But yeah, you're obviously a very zen person, and you're letting it roll off like water off a duck's back. What about you, Peter? What's your
my take on it might be a little bit different to some people, but I think it's kind of sad in a way, because people who've got obvious keyboard skills and obvious time on their hands, they could actually be doing real science.
Mm.
And they could actually be using real telescopes to take real images and helping us with some of the science goals that need some work. Because, obviously, if you can drive a YouTube channel and know how to market yourself, well, then you've got some skills. But I think it's a bit sad in the way that those skills are, put to those kind of uses when, we could be putting into the use of, doing some real science, doing some follow-up asteroid work for the Minor Planet Center, or finding some new variable stars. It's all out there to be done.
Yep. No, that's a really good point. It is actually, it does actually have an effect on society, all of this stuff.
Yeah, but I just think it's a little bit sad that it's people who have some skills, obviously, and are good at marketing themselves and good at drawing a crowd to their YouTube channel. It'd be nice if they put it to a useful purpose and not the purpose of it too. And I mean, I understand clickbait and building your profiles and all that sort of stuff, and a lot of people are into that. But I'm just saying, there's real work to be done, and if you've got time on your hands and all those skills of using YouTube and using the internet, there's lots of things you could be doing.
Yep.
To help us.
I agree, 100%. And so I hope that answers your questions, conspiracy theorist people. You're welcome to leave us feedback if you feel like it. It looks like you guys have some stuff for us. I'm going to flick over to Andrew. You've got a beautiful animation here, Andrew. Tell us about how you put it together. Hello, Andrew.
Yeah, sorry, I had the microphone muted. Yeah, this was taken with the 8-inch scope as well. Took it on a night of reasonably good seeing, and I just let fire capture take one photo after another, and a movie, I should say, an AVI, of 10,200 frames each, and there was 36 images, 36 videos, I think, altogether.
Cool.
And I processed each and every one of those images and did exactly the same processing on them, and created this animation through other software. So it turned out really well. I was quite happy with it. And,
it's smooth as silk. Also noticed from the extension,
it's quite amazing.
The PIP program, is that to stabilize the frames or between each one?
I use PIPP to stabilize Jupiter, to put it into the center of the frame, and also to create this animation.
Yeah, cool.
And that's IO, is it, coming out from behind it?
That's Io going behind Jupiter, at the top.
Oh, yes, because of rotate, yeah.
Very cool. Paul, what have you got for us now?
This is the Southern Pinwheel Galaxy.
Very nice. I don't know much about galaxy sizes, and I wish there was an atlas I could refer to about how big each of them are, because some of them are surprisingly small. But I don't think the Pinwheel is one of those. It's fairly big, isn't it?
Yeah, seems fairly big.
It's got that classic barred spiral structure where you can see the bar running down the middle, and because we're looking at it, from above or below, we're looking at it dead on, so we get that nice symmetry, like a big circle, which is great. And this is one you've just snapped off live as well.
Yep, fresh off the scope.
Very nice. And Peter, what are you showing us?
Well, this one's not live. This is one of my favourite places near the Eta Carinae Nebula. This one was done on a 1/2 metre plane wave in narrowband, and it's quite a spectacular image. And the camera we had on this particular one had a non-anti-blooming thing on it. It kind of went, but I kind of liked the effect. I just left it like that, and really cool. You can remove the blooming from that. That's not a diffraction spike. That's actual pixel bleed in an image. But I kind of liked it, and so I kind of there's another image where I took that out and just cropped it and demagented the stars, and it looks really stunning. So I kind of like it.
It looks like a sword from this, like a fantasy novel cover or something.
That's right. So no, I kind of liked it. So I just thought I'd share that with you.
Very nice. And speaking of Eta Carinae, Paul has, as within seconds, provided us with a near live view of the very same spectacular Southern Cross Nebula. Just so that the Northern Hemisphere folks remember, this one is 4 times as big and bright as Orion. It is massive. Have you zoomed in a bit here, or is this just because it's so big it's filling up your field of view on the on the scope? Yeah, there we go.
That's the field of view of the scope.
Yeah, and that doesn't even fit it in. This is just the inner regions around the Keyhole Nebula and the homunculus, which isn't really visible at this wider magnification. But the detail that we just saw in Peter's one is unbelievable. All the arms and the spindly kind of vines of clouds and gas inside there are just amazing. It's really great. I love those two big dark patches. Now, because we're talking about the Great Carinae Nebula, I'm going to share a sneak preview of my work in progress, because this is the first time I've spent many nights working on the one image with my Hyperstar gear. So this is the Great Carinae Nebula that I'm working on. So far, it's a bunch of RGB data, and I haven't added the HA yet, so I'm going to add the HA to bring out a lot more detail. But I'm really happy with this because it does have a lot of detail for a backyard job. So I'm happy with that. I've kept the keyhole quite visible.
Beautiful.
Thank you. But I really like the whole big butterfly shape of it. When you frame it like this as a butterfly with these sort of exploding wings, it's really nice. So hopefully I'll finish this off in the next week or so. And yeah. And what are we looking at now, Andrew?
This is an image of Saturn I captured on the 16th last month. Oh, this month, sorry. No, last month, March. And yeah, it's been a while ago. And I added the color data through WinJupos and Photoshop, so it's not live color. So.
Yep. That's very tempting, because I often end up with really nice black and white versions of these images, and I actually went to get some data from somewhere else, but Jupiter's so dynamic, it changes so much. You can't match it up too well, because all the clouds and the bands have moved already by the time you get to do that. But Saturn's a bit more forgiving in that sense, because its bands are a lot more stable. Very cool. Now, we are going to wrap up in a moment. Thank you for for being with us for the Jupiter special. Before we wrap up, get another one?
Yeah, just one last one from me. This
great.
was last night on my plane wave. Comet Siding Spring, which you'll remember from its close encounter with Mars, is still going at magnitude 18.9. So this was from New Mexico. It's I was quite pleased to still be able to pick it up. So the Comet Group COBS have got a lot of data on it over the last year since it made its close approach to Mars, and you can just make it out there.
That's brilliant. It's faint, but that's a good catch. Comet McNaught. Robert McNaught
Siding
is also
Spring,
the discoverer of Siding Spring, I believe.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Very cool.
Cool.
So I just wanted to quickly mention that we had a recent newsworthy story with Jupiter. There was someone was recording video just like we are now tonight, and he noticed that there was a little flash of light at the edge, and it turned out to be an asteroid, what they believe is an asteroid impact. Some people are saying comet, but I think that's fairly unlikely. I don't know enough about it though, really. But it was picked up by at least another 2 images that night, because there are people like us crazy enough to be out there just recording video of Jupiter, and it was confirmed pretty quickly. And some of the 2 of the videos have 3.5 million views each. Last time I checked on YouTube, so I didn't think such a niche kind of news story would would be trending on YouTube like that, especially these unstacked videos of Jupiter. And this little flash, but it really captured the public's imagination, so that was good to see. These sorts of strikes don't leave a huge mark, even though they might be big or big-ish impacts themselves. Jupiter is fairly big, and it would take a lot more to leave a nice scar in one of those stormy clouds or bands. Yeah. I'm going to wrap it up unless anyone has anything else to say, because I want to get outside and get ready for this shadow transit, this double shadow transit. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us for the Jupiter special. Thanks to Andrew, Peter Lakes, and Paul Stewart as well.
Yep, no worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Cool. Yeah, great to join you, and keep in touch. Thanks.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys. Another great hangout. We'll chat again soon, I'm sure.